Hi, Denise. How's it going?
Good, Christy. How are you?
I'm so good. And I'm so glad this worked out. I know that we were finagling schedules behind the scenes and we just were offline and I had our conversation come to a halt because I'm like, this is too good. We need to, we need to save it so that other people can listen. But
Okay.
first, I just want to just introduce you to everybody and then I'm going to throw it over to you to highlight why you're here. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah, perfect.
So this is Denise Flihan, and she is the co-owner of Daughters for Hire. She's also the first vice president of the Women's Fund. And if you're not familiar with the Women's Fund, Denise is going to fill you in. You're going to be an expert at the end and also give you some insight into some of the wonderful offerings that you guys have going on that we're highlighting today.
All right. Well, thank you.
Sure.
All right. Well, let me give you a little information about the Women's Fund. So, the Women's Fund actually was established in 1997 by a group of local women who really wanted to work to empower women in our community and help them through life situations that may make different stages of your life difficult. And they wanted to be able to assist women throughout those stages. So, they developed a fund called the Women's Fund, and the whole idea behind it is to support women in need for whatever that happens to be, so that they can live a good, productive life and give back to the community.
It's so how did you get involved in it?
I originally heard about the Women's Fund. They had a luncheon that they had every year, and I had attended the luncheon a couple of times, and I was so inspired by the stories of what the Women's Fund actually funded and how that really had an impact in the life of a woman. Um, and it was just so interesting to me that I wanted to get involved. So I started by working on that specific committee for the luncheon, and through that, and through learning more about the different ways that they support women, I got more and more interested. So eventually, they asked me to join the board, and I did.
That's fantastic. I love that you were on the outside looking in and saw such an impact and we're like, I got to get in there.
Yeah, yeah. The Women's Fund actually has three different types of funds, which is also very interesting. So the Women's Fund, the initial fund, again, is a fund we work with not-for-profits. So the not-for-profits will come to us with a specific need that addresses a need for a woman, and we'll fund that specific need if it falls within what our mission and values are.
Sure.
And then we have a second fund called Annie's Fund. That is more of a specific fund for a temporary need for a woman in an emergency type situation. And then we have Isla's Fund, which is a fund that's focused for women going to school, to college, to help them with any unexpected obstacle that they may come across that will prevent them from continuing on with college. So those three funds were the initial three funds that the Women's Fund supported. And then this year, being our 25th anniversary, we developed a new fund that we actually called Women Investing in Women. And this is a grant that celebrates the 25 years of the Women's Fund and supporting women in our community by offering $5,000 grants to women-owned businesses to help move their business to the next level.
It's incredible. It's so incredible. And I love that everything you were talking about, the previous three funds, it was such like a holistic view of where can we help women the most, no matter what stage they're at in life and where they would be needed. And now you extend it to women-owned businesses. It's fantastic. What was the impetus for, it may sound like a silly question, but for creating this fund?
Well, it's funny because so we meet on a monthly basis and we have great conversations. And this actually came out of a conversation where we were talking about we're always looking to be proactive and support women.
Sure.
So the other types of funding that we do are more reactive. You know, somebody has a need, they come to us and we fulfill that need. The initiative behind Women Investing in Women is now a proactive type of program where we want to see women flourish in our communities. And this is a great way to learn about what what businesses are out there that are run by women, and what needs do they have, and how can we help them so that they can continue to grow and be successful and achieve their dreams.
It's so inspiring. I mean, and I love that you guys gave it enough thought to go, okay, so the other three funds that are already existing and that possibly are thriving, people are appreciating them. That's very reactive. That's solving a problem. How can we get on the other end so we can actually be proactive? I love that.
Exactly. And as a business owner myself, we went through the stages of running a business, and there were times where we applied for different grants that were game changers for us. So
Sure.
that's what made it really exciting to me, is I know the impact that a $5,000 grant can have on a business and what it did for our business. So I'm excited to see what it can do for other people's businesses.
Absolutely. And speaking of other people, who can apply for the grant? Who is it open to?
So it's a women only grant. So it has to be a business that has been in existence for at least 1 year. It has to be 51% women owned. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to have a WBE credential by it. It just needs to be 51% business owned.
And women, can you just say WBE for those people who don't know?
So New York State, if you're a women-owned business in New York State, you can apply for this accreditation to be a women-owned business. This is different than that. We just need the business to be owned specifically 51% by a woman. It has to be in Oneida and Herkimer counties. And that's pretty much the only three major qualifications for the business.
And so for anyone who's listening who might be excited about it, but then maybe a little nervous about what it entails, what would you say to them to just encourage them and reassure them to go for it?
First, I would say don't be nervous. It's a simple process. Our goal is to help the women that apply to achieve their goals. And all we need from them is to go to our website, and I can give you all that information, complete the application, give us the reason why you're doing this, what you want to accomplish, how it's going to benefit you as a business owner, what, if any, benefit it could have on our community. It's telling your story. That's basically all it is you're telling your story, and who knows better than the business owner that story. So share your story with us and what you want to accomplish. And once you complete all of that, we actually are putting a judging panel together. They're going to select 5 of the applicants that seem to have the best idea or the greatest need, and they'll be awarded up to $5,000 each.
And when is the deadline for everybody to get in?
The deadline is September 30th. So it's as simple as going to the Women's Fund website, which is Women's Fund HOC, because it's Herkimer and Oneida County. So womensfundhoc.org. You'll see the application right there under the business grant. And you just follow the steps for that. It has all of the instructions. It's got frequently asked questions, everything you need to know. And if they have any questions, they can always reach out through email or through telephone to ask whatever questions they may need. We want to help you get the grant. So if there is a question, we want women to call us. We want to help you, win the grant.
And we'll have all of the details on how to reach the website and all of that good stuff in the notes below. So anybody who's listening who maybe didn't catch everything that was said in regards to where to go, that'll be right in the notes below too. And I'm wondering, because I remember when I was looking through it, it said projections of like 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. The benefit of that, from what you're saying, is that it allows the female business owner to almost live aspirationally into the direction of where they want their business to go. What are your thoughts on, we have a wonderful small business development center that's based right in Thinkubator in downtown Utica. Would that be a resource that people could reach out to just to help them go through and complete the grant?
Absolutely. And I'm going to speak from my own experience too. We worked closely with the SBDC to help us as we were growing our business, and they have so much information. But to just make it more simple for applicants, we all come from different stages. So many of us may be very savvy with computers and spreadsheets and things like that. And then other businesses are focusing on different things, and maybe that's not the focus. When we're thinking 1, 3, and 5 years out, we're really asking you to tell us what is the impact that you're expecting from this, specific initiative a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. So for example, for me personally, we had applied for a grant for some computer software, scheduling software that really changed the game for us. So just thinking about what that was going to do in terms of how many more clients could we take on, how much more time could I now devote to marketing instead of working off of a handwritten schedule. You just think about things practically, and then you apply, how you think that's going to impact you over the course of time. So, we're not asking for a specific thing. We're asking for, what are your projections? How do you think this is going to help you?
Thank you, Denise, for clarifying that. And I love that you reframed it into impact, because that creates, I feel like, more of an empowering, like, yeah, what is the impact versus some people, wherever they fall, some people might feel like, I don't write well, I don't know numbers, I don't know how. So that's why I brought the SBDC in, because I feel like there could be some component just for people to feel a little bit more supported and reassured in the process, in addition to the offering of help that you guys have with the, emailing you ahead of time.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We use them quite a bit. We continue to use them. They were such a big resource to us, even through COVID and things like that. So I always encourage people to utilize the resources that are right there for them, and they're at no cost.
I was going to say, that's the operative, is that it's free. So it's a matter of just setting up the appointment, and they may even do Zoom. So if you can't get there through transportation issues or scheduling issues, you may even be able to just figure it out through a phone call or something like that. So that's wonderful. And I a lot of what I'm hearing too is this reaching out, that's asking for help. And I am curious if you'd be willing to share, and it could be either personally your experience as you have journeyed through being a business owner yourself, or just what you've observed. What is the greatest challenge that shows up for women, specifically business owners, asking for help?
I have to say, I think it's failure. I think women are so afraid of failure and demonstrating weakness, and maybe they look at asking for help as like a weakness, that, this is my business, I should be able to figure this out myself. But one of the things in my career that I've absolutely enjoyed is the relationships that I've developed over time, and mainly with women, organizations that I've become a part of, networks that I've joined have all been women based. And the reason that has been so important to me is because women support women. So if somebody's coming to me and asking me for help, or is talking about a problem, I want to do whatever I can, give them whatever advice that I can, information that I can, to help them solve a problem. And I find that most women are like that. So I think women need to get past the fact that, I'm in this alone, or this may be embarrassing because, I want to present this way, but yet I need this kind of help. We can't be afraid to ask for help, because we all ask for help. And it's been that help and assistance that my business partner and I have asked for throughout the course of our business that has helped us grow, over 10 years of time. And if it weren't for some fantastic women that had stepped in, offered us ideas, suggestions, support, mentorship, I don't know where we'd be.
And the courage for you guys to be able to, because it is a vulnerable spot to be, to reach out and ask for help when you are juggling so much. Specific, yes, in general, but specifically as a business owner, you feel like you need to be the one who understands and knows and is leading the charge. But just like you said, to remember that reciprocal, how good it feels to be asked to help.
It absolutely
And
does.
to return that, sure.
that's it. And you know what's funny is it doesn't even matter what business a woman is in, or at least the women that I've come across in my lifetime, bigger, smaller, it doesn't, we all go through those same things. You know, my business today at 10 years was not the same business it was in the beginning. It's a completely different business, and it's that evolution. So what I know today, I didn't know 10 years ago. And it's just that process. So if there's something that I know or an experience that I've had that I can help somebody else out with, I'm happy to do it. And I think
Absolutely.
most women are like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I love that, again, that reframe of the challenges that you went through. How can I, again, proactively help other women from possibly having to go through that, or even understanding some shortcuts that could help, that could be an option, right?
Right.
So, and one thing you said, it made me think of another guest who was on, Christina Pater, how we talked about that difficulty specifically with women asking for help. And she said, well, I wonder, she has a book about it where she talks about one chapter is asking for help and looking at those people as your allies. And I love that idea of, there's something within that, looking at it as an ally that roots both of you guys in, like, we're on the same team and we're helping each other. So when they're helping me, I'm helping them, and we're going forward together. We're on the same side.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. I belong to an organization where it's all women presidents, owners of businesses, and that's exactly how they feel. It's like, that's who, that's what we're there for, because sometimes the things that we experience in our work, we can't share with our husbands or our children, or they're just not going to understand it. But if you're sharing them with somebody who's been in your shoes, that really does help. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing to be working with women. I think it's a wonderful thing to embrace your network, whoever they may be, and not to be afraid to reach out to somebody, that you may know on whatever level you may know them, that could, maybe they can't give you the answer, but they may be able to point you in the direction of somebody who could.
It's beautiful. And lastly, I'm going to ask you one more question, and I'm going to throw it to you if there's anything else that you want to share. But what did you, and you may have touched upon this a little bit, but when you were possibly in some dark times over the 10 years, I'm sure there had to be many dips. What helped you get through it?
I'll tell you honestly. So I'm lucky because I co-own a business with not only my business partner, she's also like my best friend for a million years. So we walk down the same path, like our minds work alike. So I always feel like I've got a bit of a safety net, because when I'm a little shaky, she's strong. When she's a little shaky, I may be strong. But the one thing that got me through is my steadfast belief in that I've gotten to this point. Any challenge that we've had, like COVID was a big challenge for us. Any challenge that we've had over the course of those 10 years, we not only got through, but we became better as a result of it. So when I'm coming across something tough, that's the first thing I think of, is that we have been successful in moving through these hard times before. So I have no doubt we're going to be successful again.
I love that. And again, that co-ownership, that ally right next to you, walking with you, and the balance between when one of you is shaky, the other one seems to be on solid ground, and vice versa.
It's nice to have, but I feel lucky. Not all women are like that. Some women, you own the business, you own the business, but that to me is what makes it more important, to align yourself with other women that you can ask for help, because they'll support you too.
Women Investing in Women is the grant. It is due September 30th, I believe you said.
September 30th.
All the info will be in the show notes below. Is there anything else, Denise, that you're chomping at the bit to get out that came to mind from our conversation?
The only other thing, well, so speaking of helping, so for the people that are listening or watching this, if they themselves don't necessarily have a business and they wouldn't qualify for this grant, I would love it if they could share this information with, in their networks, because there may be other women that they know that this may be a great opportunity for. And like I said, for myself personally, a $5,000 grant made such a difference in my business. And I can't wait to see what it can do for somebody else.
Without a doubt. And I love you adding that in, because it's being able to realize that even if you're someone who doesn't have your own female owned business, but you know someone who does, or even if you just openly share it on social when we're promoting it, so that anybody can see it and understand it, all it's doing is benefiting. Not all it's doing, I would say the benefit of that is that it's making a huge impact in our community. So it's just helping our community. So that's wonderful. Denise, thank you so much. I wish you guys the best, and congratulations on 25 years.
Thank you, Christy. This was fun.